Hello all you comic lords and ladies, and welcome again to another rousing roustabout on Grudge Match, the show that crams our favorite citizens of the comic panels into the arena to fight it out one-on-one to determine the superior specimen. Today the chronal energies will be flying, as two of the most prominent time-traveling superheroes will be vying for the win. From DC Comics and by way of the 25th century, it's Booster Gold, and from Marvel, the X-Men, and the dystopian 21st century, the mutant known as Bishop. Now, there's not a ton of similarities between these two characters, apart from both of them being time travelers, and even then they had very, very different reasons for becoming time travelers. But they are both characters who wield energy abilities as some of their primary abilities, and their drive, their motivation, becomes very similar throughout their time in comics, as both become protectors and sometimes correctors of the timeline as their main motivation moving forward through the rest of their comic existence. So, looking at them individually, and first starting with Booster Gold, created first in 1986, real name Michael John Carter. Born in the 25th century, he was a football player in college and was very prominent in that, became fairly famous as a football player in his time, but in order to get money, he gambled on his own games, began throwing games, was discovered and disgraced, and actually sent to jail for his illegal gambling. When he got out of jail, he got a job as a security guard at a space museum that had a lot of artifacts from the heroes of the 20th century, such as the Justice League, and he took his cues from the heroics of the modern-day superheroes, decided to become one himself, and stole a lot of technology and weaponry that he would use to become a superhero. Realizing he couldn't do that very well in his own time, he also used a time travel machine to come back to present day and become a hero in our time. Eventually, he meets the time traveler Rip Hunter and becomes a defender of the timeline, going to different places within the timeline, saving people's lives, rewriting history for the best possible outcome. Now, the technology that he stole that allows him to be a superhero involves a flight ring, famed from the Legion of Superheroes, who all have flight rings that allow them to fly, and so that's where he gets his ability to fly from. And he also has a power suit, and most of his abilities are derived from this power suit. It affords him a decent amount of superhuman strength, around the 20-ton class, which he can actually push further and be even stronger than that. It is fairly durable in its own right, but in addition to its innate durability, it also has the ability to project force fields around Booster Gold. This allows him to withstand very powerful attacks, and he even took a direct blow from Doomsday and got back up from it. The gauntlets in the suit allow him to fire off energy blasts of fairly good power, and he uses this as sort of his primary offensive weapon. In addition to this power suit and the flight ring, he also stole a security robot known as Skeets, which accompanies him throughout most of his endeavors. However, since it is an artificial intelligence, and most would regard Skeets as sort of his sidekick, and grudge matches are one-on-one, Skeets will not really play into this fight of Booster Gold against Bishop. However, the power suit and the flight ring are more than enough to make Booster Gold a formidable adversary for any opponent, and he used these abilities to become a sort of lackluster hero in modern time, though he became much more prominent when he began defending the timeline, even though the general public never knows of his efforts to keep history safe. Bishop from Marvel Comics does not actually have a superhero name, as Bishop is his real name. His real name is Lucas Bishop. He was first created in 1991 from the 21st century, a dystopian future where Sentinels rule the Earth and not only have subjugated all of mutants, but also have pretty well subjugated humanity as well. And in Bishop's time, he, other mutants, as well as normal humans, all band together to fight back against the Sentinels. They eventually win the day, but the world has been very sufficiently scarred by the Sentinels' rule. Bishop joins the Xavier Security Enforcers in order to police criminal mutants, as it's decided that humans do not have the capacity to sufficiently police criminal mutants in the future. So other mutants have decided to do it. So that's the Xavier Security Enforcers. And he becomes a time traveler when he has to travel through time to stop a terrorist known as Trevor Fitzroy, who wants to come back to modern time to commit terrorist acts. He manages to do that, and when he completes his mission, he has no way to get back to his own time in the future, so he stays on in present day. Now, Bishop is a mutant, and his primary mutant ability is the ability to absorb energy, virtually any type of energy, and either store it to enhance his own physical skills or redirect it back as concussive energy blasts. This means if he were to be shot by Cyclops' optic blast, he would not be hurt by it at all. He would absorb that energy, and he would be able to fire that energy right back. But he can also contain the energy that he absorbs and use it to enhance his physical abilities, making him stronger, more durable, enhance his stamina, his regeneration. So this makes him potentially super strong and super durable as well. In addition to his mutant abilities, he is also a very skilled soldier. He is very often seen utilizing guns and high-tech weaponry, as he doesn't always want to rely on his mutant ability, since it is dependent on having energy thrown at him before he can absorb it and redirect it. So he very often uses high-tech weaponry, as well as his skills he learned as a soldier from the future in order to overcome his adversaries. So having taken a look at the skills and powers of these two characters, it's time to determine who would win if they were to ever collide one-on-one. The winner would be Booster Gold. While Booster Gold has been generally regarded as something of a joke of a superhero by many of the other superheroes of modern day, that is largely because they don't know about his exploits with saving the timeline and protecting history. While he did start off his career as selfish and a bit of a fool, he matured over the years and in more recent days has become a very serious and very capable superhero. And when it comes to power with these two characters, Booster Gold would most likely attempt to start the fight using his blasters on his gauntlets, and Bishop would quickly absorb that and be able to redirect it. But after the first absorption and redirection, Booster would most likely pick up on what's going on and stop firing off his energy weapons. And once that happens, that pretty much takes Bishop's powers out of the equation altogether. Now, Booster Gold would still be able to bring to bear the other powers of his power suit, the super strength and the invulnerability and the force field that it can generate. So Bishop's guns that he would most likely have wouldn't be very effective against Booster Gold's force fields. And the super strength that Booster can bring to bear is going to be superior to Bishop's super strength. A few solid punches from Booster Gold and his super strength enhanced suit would be all it would really take to knock Bishop out. Meanwhile, Bishop's gunfire, and even if he absorbed some of Booster Gold's energy blasts and redirected them back at Booster, Booster's force fields would be able to handle any of those attacks and more. So Booster has the higher defense, and he also has the better offense when it comes to fisticuffs and getting down and dirty using their super strength. Bishop is certainly no slouch in the fighting department, and if he has happened to absorb some energy, he can even have superhuman strength in his fighting skills, but we're talking about a force field that managed to take the blow from Doomsday himself and save Booster's life. There's virtually no kind of attack that Bishop could bring to bear that would be able to penetrate and neutralize the force field. So Booster is going to have the superior defense. He's going to be able to come back with physical offense that Bishop is just not able to handle. So in this match, Booster Gold and DC Comics is going to take the win. Thanks for watching. Message me down below. Let me know what you think of the outcome of this fight. And as always, any suggestions for future Grudge matches. We'll see you next time on the next edition of Grudge Match.